Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout, where we talk about video games and everything in the world of video games. It's our first episode of the year, first of season 4, if you're one of those people who follows it closely enough. It is January 10th. I'm Mike Mahardy, your host. I'm here with Peter Brown.
Hey.
And Jake Decker.
How's it going?
Good. We're going to, all three of us, be hanging out here today. But before we get into kind of our current events and what's going on this week, I wanted to preface a few changes, because the lobby is changing. Basically, we are going to start moving the show to Wednesdays as of now, Wednesday mornings. So this is kind of part of a bigger objective. We want to get you guys more involved, you as the viewer involved in the lobby. And we're not just saying that. We're not just, throwing around terms like audience engagement and like stuff like that. We actually want your input. We want you to be participating more in the conversation. We want you to tell us what you think of these games rather than us just telling you whether you should buy them or not. So hopefully by moving it to Wednesday, it'll give you more of you a chance to play these games, such as like something new, like Resident Evil 7 coming up, for instance. You'll get to play it a few hours, maybe beat it, and then talk to us about your thoughts. You'll be sending, you can tweet at us, you can email us. We'll have, something set up. We're gonna work on that. So come next week, we will, we'll start doing reader mailbags. If you have input for the show, if you have things you'd like us to change, we're gonna try out a new studio for at least an episode or two, see how it works. We're hoping it'll be a little more streamlined. It'll fit the tone of our podcast a little more. But again, we want your input. So please join us in this season of The Lobby and have some fun with us and help us form the show into what you as the audience want to see. And we'll do the best we can to work with you. Anyway, let's move on to today's episode, which will be a pretty traditional episode of The Lobby. But news was not traditional. First off, Pete, you reviewed Gravity Rush 2.
That happened.
Yeah, you've been playing that for what, like a week or two now?
Yeah, put in like about 25 hours.
And you give it a 9. You liked it a lot.
Yeah, I really did.
What's we'll dive into like that specifically. I didn't play much. I didn't play much Gravity Rush 1. I was gonna try out. I still haven't gotten the chance to play 2 yet. So I had a lot of questions for you, Jake. I know you played the first one. But yeah, like hit us with it. What's the overarching, like, what did you enjoy about this game so much?
Well, got to keep in mind that I definitely like played a lot of the first game, right? Like I ended up reviewing the remaster, so I had that context going in, which ended up being pretty important to just my personal experience. Because, like this game, the first game definitely nailed delivering like a very unconventional sense of movement. Like games play with flight and gravity all the time, but none really mixed them the way that Gravity Rush did. The rest of the game around that was kind of lacking. So one of the things that really surprised me and that I loved about Gravity Rush 2 is that the same mechanics returned. They built upon those, but more importantly, the world is just far more dense and just bigger in general, like huge. And so, yeah, scale is one thing, and like that's great. But then also, I felt like I was able to get a lot more out of the world just by simply exploring it. And side quests, they weren't always the best objectives to chase, but they did offer nice, interesting narratives. So it's just like an all around, like a really just great game. And even if you just took it at a superficial level, the graphics and the soundtrack are just amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Like a cell shading on the character, at least. Is that kind of true for the
a little bit? World? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it is just this sort of like cartoonish render, and it definitely fits the game because it's presented. You say episodic, that brings to mind certain aspects of episodic games, but really it's just this game is broken up into quote unquote episodes, and through that and with the visual style, it kind of feels like you're playing an anime. Like it does feel like you are an anime superhero and you finish an entire season.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, like while you were touching on it, you said like obviously you see a lot of series go kind of open world, whereas that their predecessors might be a little more linear, but you did feel that overall the structure of this game in terms of being open world and explorable. I think you mentioned in your review that like obviously half the joy of this game just comes from moving around this open world.
Yeah, and like the first game definitely had the same sensibilities. It just didn't have the scope to really, match what people think of when they think of open world, right? I mean, it was really just one location with a few secondary places that were detached in the original game. So yeah, in this one you definitely get, a better sense that you're part of a larger society. And it really helps that all the people and things happening in the world like sort of fill in that picture as well, because it's not like just a couple NPCs here and there. It's a lot of NPCs, and they're all going about their own business. There's a lot of like air traffic, like air vehicles and stuff. So just in terms of being an open world, it feels fully realized at this stage.
You're a fan of stories in video games.
I like them.
How's this one?
It is good. I think because I experienced the first game, which left a lot of unanswered questions, I found the story in this game to be super valuable. There is like a new tale that is told that is sort of about okay, there's a society where there's rich people and there's poor people, and they struggle to kind of get along. Like, okay, that age-old tale. And that is okay. Like, there's enough character in there to feel like it's enjoyable, but the huge payoff is how the game addresses things from the past, even going, prior to the original game. So acting as a prequel as much as it is a sequel in some ways, super fulfilling. I don't have as many unanswered questions this time. And any that I do have, it's intentional. Like, it seems like it's made on purpose.
Would people be better off playing the first game first in order to fully enjoy the second game?
That's a tough question. The first game is good, but like, if I had to, I would say play this game first. I think you'll get a lot out of it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at least mechanically, this game it's more diverse, so it's more rewarding just to play. Story aside, the story bit is what kind of complicates that answer.
Yeah, there's like separate movement styles she gets, right? The lunar and the
Jupiter. Right.
More power ones, like even more anti-gravity.
Well, so like her special ability, normally you're basically saying, okay, the center of gravity works like this now, and then you end up basically deciding which way is down, right? So you fall where you want to, but you end up using like a gravity power, quote unquote. In the lunar style, you just equip armor, and you can still trigger your gravity ability, but you're also just made lighter without activating that ability. So you can do things like jump really far and high, which makes exploration feel a little bit different because you don't have to careen through a city or walk on the ground. You can like literally jump over buildings, which is different than flying. And then in battle, there's some things that lunar adds. Jupiter makes you sort of like a tank. You fall a lot faster, but you hit a lot harder. So it's sort of the antithesis to the lunar style.
And they said the boss battles are pretty badass in this game, right?
Yes. The combat is sort of very similar between enemies and big bosses. Like you're doing the same basic things, but the presentation and the scale of the boss fights are what are really impressive. Mm-hmm. There's one, I didn't capture footage of it, it turns out, but if you've ever seen Akira and you know the final scene of that movie, I can't think of any other homages, but this game does an homage to that, like better than I can imagine any other thing doing it. It's really cool.
What is Kat's deal?
What's her deal?
Like, what's the premise of these? For people who don't know, in a nutshell, what's the premise of these games?
Well, so the premise in the original game was that Kat didn't know who she was. She woke up in a city. She had amnesia.
Do any of us?
Right. I don't know. I ask myself that every day, and I never have a good answer.
No one ever does. Sorry, I interrupted.
So that last game, there was sort of some political stuff going on in the society she lived in. And there was this guy named Alias who was kind of egging her on and also kind of helping things. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know who Alias was. So in this game, that story is addressed. But initially what the deal is like at the end of the second game, you didn't see it. But in the interim, there was a gravity storm. You were swept up and you lost your powers and you ended up in this like slave camp, basically. And you have to kind of fight your way out of that and earn the trust of the leader. And you realize, okay, she's a pretty good person. And you have to basically stop the rich from corrupting government in this new location. And then it builds from there, but I can't spoil anything.
Well, one thing, that sounds insane.
You've been waiting
crazy.
to say this.
No. And two, we need just a show on GameSpot dedicated to you describing these outlandish plots in the most deadpan way, as if you're describing like your commute to work. I don't know. I got on the bus, I scanned my card, there's a couple homeless people
I have to
that
like
somehow
turn
got
off to like get all these details through.
The driver almost crashed. It was raining.
Yeah.
But we didn't crash. It wasn't that exciting. Meanwhile, yes, dude named Alias. There's a gravity storm while you're in a coma. That's like not
typical.
That's like the zombie apocalypse trope. While you're like 28 Days Later, and then Walking Dead did it as well. Yeah. No, this time it's a gravity storm. You wake up and it's not zombies. It's floating oxygen. No one understands gravity. Don't give me that look.
If you don't have her powers, I feel like that city would be a nightmare to live in.
Yes.
Yeah. How do normal people get around?
They're stuck on their little spot.
Because it's all islands. Everything is like broken up into islands, but they do have those little airships. One of the really fun things to do in this game, because you have these gravity powers, so you can like also pick up things that are around you. It's sort of what you create like a stasis shield or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can just go into the middle of a market and just activate that thing, and people and objects and stalls and businesses just like fly up in the air, and you can like throw them into other things, and people just kind of pick themselves up and dust themselves off and keep going.
Yeah.
It's the game is, it deals with some heavy-handed stuff, but like I said in my review, like there's a silver lining to everything. Sometimes that's humor. It doesn't really try to be real in all respects.
Just going through your footage, because I edited your review, and just going through your footage, like there was like stuff of you flying through, and there's just a guy stuck behind you, like screaming.
No, so those are some of the side quests. It's more or less an escort mission, but the challenge is not escorting the person. The challenge is bringing them to the point in town that they want to be in, and just knowing what they're referring to. But yeah, like. You can
like an Uber.
You pick up an NPC, you're like, all right, we're going, and they just literally like float in and out of frame.
But we're going, we don't need gravity.
Right. So to onlookers,
slow shot you got of just a pan, and it looks like cats flying, and it looks all cool. And
for like a while, right?
Slowly pans around this guy just behind her screaming.
I'm glad you got that because I definitely meant to capture that.
So the game does not take itself too seriously?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Good.
The little side missions will take a topic seriously for a moment, but then it'll kind of bring it around to this really hyper positive, optimistic thing.
But overall, you gave it a glowing review. People should play this.
I really think people should. It's super unusual. It definitely takes a lot of getting used to, but it is a very fascinating experience and just joyful throughout.
Cool. So yeah, that is the Gravity Rush 2 review. Peter Brown gave it a 9 out of 10. That is up on GameSpot.com now. If you want to read the whole thing, we have a video review as well. Should be on YouTube, or if you're watching this, if you're listening to this on iTunes, you can go check that out at GameSpot.com and let us know what you think about the game once you get the chance to play it, or let us know if you plan on picking it up in the comments below. All right, for some more negative news, if you're a Scalebound fan. Scalebound got delayed. No, just shitty joke. Scalebound got canceled, at least in terms of like being released from Microsoft. I guess there's no word on whether it could ever happen again.
Well,
later.
Microsoft owns the IP.
So that won't happen again.
Probably not. I mean, we'll get to this, but they're courting Phantom Dust around. I mean,
yeah. So just as a primer, if you don't know, Scalebound at E3 2014 was shown off. It's a co-op action game. Platinum was developing it. People who made Bayonetta, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and they're working on Nier Automata right now, which I want to get into. But it's weird that at the Microsoft E3 2014 press conference, it was Project Spark, Phantom Dust remake, Crackdown 3, and this game, Scalebound.
Yeah.
Project Spark released to little fanfare. Phantom Dust remake is now a thing that's supposed to come out this year, but for a while it's kind of in hiatus. Crackdown 3, no one knows what's going on with that. And now you have Scalebound, which is canceled. Microsoft, their statement, it was originally like a report by Kotaku or a rumor, but then a bunch of people confirmed it and whatnot. Microsoft said, after careful deliberation, Microsoft Studios has come to the decision to end production for Scalebound. We're working hard to deliver an amazing lineup of games to our fans this year, though, including Halo Wars 2, Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves, and other great experiences. Sounds kind of like a defensive statement. Like, people, like, I am reading into it saying what is going on with Microsoft. They have the Scorpio on the horizon in terms of hardware, but what's going on with software?
I'm reading into it as Microsoft Studios has decided we no longer want to make Japanese games, but we have a lot of exciting Western games to look forward to in the future. It's no secret that Western and Eastern companies have, different styles of developing games. And we see a lot of games from Japan get delayed. Like, that's a thing that happens quite a bit. Scalebound itself has it been at least one official delay before the cancellation? Something like that.
It was 2016 and 2017 because of, quote from Microsoft, a crowded holiday release schedule.
Yeah, like that's such BS.
But right? You heard that, or wasn't it part of the rumors that like the developers had gone on this break because of development crunch?
The rumor was that it was too strenuous, so like the top developers went on a break for a month, and then when they came back, or shortly after they came back, it was decided that, hey, we're going to cancel this game. But I think if you look even a few months back, the president of Platinum Games, I believe I'm getting his position correct, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he left the company. He left the company after probably 2 years of it sort of changing its MO, right? Where it used to be these one-off, like great action games, and then they started taking on all this licensed stuff that they were going to make. And is it that surprising to see him leave and then see Scalebound end up canceled? Like, I'm not that surprised by that. Yeah. I think that there might be a connection, not directly to that, but some sort of, by proxy, like, yes, the problems that led to Scalebound's cancellation, that Platinum is responsible for, not Microsoft, but the Platinum is. Perhaps that is, part and parcel for why this guy left. And I really don't know, so don't take me for my word, but it just seems like what a perfect storm,
Yeah. Back in April of this year, Japanese game industry site Game Business announced that, President of Platinum Games Tetsuya Minami had stepped down.
Yeah.
It's weird. We're talking about Mass Effect Andromeda later and all the studio departures and, crises that happened during the development of that, and who knows how that's going to turn out. March 21st, the release date now. But yeah, you have to wonder, between the delay from 2016 and 2017, I personally was not that impressed with the E3 2016 demo they showed. For those of you watching right now, it was that co-op fight against that giant crab boss.
I mean, it looks impressive.
It looked, in terms of scale, no pun intended, it seemed, massive, right? Like the scope of it seemed pretty huge.
And the idea of co-op seemed really cool too.
Yeah, it struck me as like a co-op Devil May Cry or something similar.
Yeah, but the execution just didn't seem like, at least in the demo, right? It's like supposed to be this big open world, and it's like, hey, here's a boss in an enclosed area, and it's going to be kind of a slow fight.
Yeah,
like, ooh, that doesn't ring platinum to me. That doesn't ring open world, co-op RPG.
Did anyone get a chance to play this? Had they done any demos or no?
Only behind closed door stuff, and I don't even think with press.
Yeah, so this is the question I wanted to ask is what does this bode for Microsoft in terms of like first-party titles? Jacob Tuff on Twitter actually asked the same thing. With this being he had a couple tweets. Previous correction, Ori and the Blind Forest was also showed at E3 2014. So one of those games came to fruition, and I love that game. Jacob Tuff said, back in 2014, Phil Spencer was saying how there will be tons of new games for Xbox One. 3 years later, they're still coasting on game announcements from 2013, 2014, and in that time, games have been canceled and multiple studios closed, Lionhead, Fable Legends. With this being a continuous trend, how worrying is this for the future of Microsoft first-party offerings in the long term? I don't even know if in the long term. I mean, we're talking about this in a later segment. What's our game predictions for this year? I would assume Halo 6 will be announced. Gears of War 4 just came out. Gears of War 5 will be a thing because that's what the coalition under Rod Ferguson is working on.
Here we are stretching to come up with like a handful of titles. But we also put an article up the other day, and I'm not playing fanboy here. I'm just stating facts. PlayStation 4 exclusives for 2017. There's like over 35 games in there.
Yeah.
And you look through that list and it's like, yep, sounds good. Yep, sounds good. Man, I wonder what that is. Like, it all looks super promising. Sony's also taken a lot of risks and followed through on them, right? So I think that speaks to a different sort of behavior and outlook for the two companies. Microsoft has made a bigger push into the PC space, not huge, not like game-changing, but enough to maybe indicate or signal that they don't see the console business the same way that Sony does anymore, right? For Sony, it is like a huge pillar for their business. For Microsoft, I guess I don't know offhand, but when you look at the sort of, the activity around it, it doesn't seem to be the thing that is like representative of Microsoft in everyone's eyes. What is for Sony, like PlayStation is really, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean like after. Oh, sorry, no.
No. Yeah. So I just think that they're forking. They're taking a different path.
Well, it's weird because back like midsummer, late summer, when the PS4 Pro and the PS4 Slim were announced and everything, and then the Scorpio, we knew the Scorpio was going to be essentially when it releases this year. It felt like Microsoft, not to just look at it in terms of competition, but it felt like Microsoft kind of had the upper hand in terms of, like public visibility, at least in terms of hardware again. But yeah, now we're getting into the year and Scorpio's on the horizon, but like you just said, we don't have much else to just like hang our hats on. And Scalebound, however, it looked pretty cool and slightly promising, but I wasn't particularly looking forward to it. But now that that's gone, I mean, even if you just want to talk about Platinum Games, they released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, which was kind of a bust.
Right.
They also did they have Nier Automata coming up, and that's kind of the next upcoming title. They have two others in the works right now, or at least announced. Grand Blue Fantasy Project Relink and Lost Order. But Nier Automata is the next upcoming one, which I played and I'm really excited for. It looks good and it feels good.
I'm so excited. I want to be excited for Lost Order because as someone who loves Final Fantasy Tactics, Matsuno-san and a few other people who made Final Fantasy Tactics are making Lost Order under Platinum. It's like talk about another perfect storm. Like, it sounds so great, but it's a mobile game.
Platinum also released Star Fox Zero.
They did, yeah.
So what is going on?
I don't know, but so back to Microsoft though, right? Like, they face a huge uphill battle with Scorpio because at the beginning it was like all about we're the most powerful, right? But what does that actually equate to? Now, granted, it's going to be more powerful than PS4 Pro. Like, that seems to be the way it's going to pan out. But look at what happened with the reception for PS4 Pro. It kind of came out, people were excited for a minute, and then they realized, like, crap, like, maybe it's not hard for developers, but as a player, I'm realizing that this thing gives me too many options and the games across the board don't support every option. So the PS4 Pro has been kind of divisive. And I think that's maybe set up Microsoft to have a bit of a challenge when they release Scorpio, because is it just going to be that same thing all over again, right?
Yeah.
People who've been watching from the sidelines with Pro, like, they might say, well, I'm not going to make the same mistake again, or I've already seen other people make this mistake. And so if they don't have power being the thing that's going to sell the console, it has to be games.
Yeah.
It's just the same old games, and they're also on PC. Like,
yep.
I know, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm excited for Halo Wars 2, But am I going to play that on my Xbox? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's an RTS, first of all. It makes more sense on PC. But, like, I don't know. Like, especially, like, Forza Horizon. I got Forza Horizon 3 not that long ago, and I played on my Xbox for a little bit, and I just switched to PC. I was like, oh, it looks better on this. And, like, with cross-save and everything, like...
It'd be great to say, the Xbox would make an awesome extension for PC gaming, but I don't know that a lot of games that really thrive on PC could, work on a console. And there's already a lot of crossover. Like when a game makes sense, it's multi-platform now, and it's on PC already. So Microsoft doesn't really have that advantage to look forward to or even plan for.
The other two games they mentioned, State of Decay 2, which I'm excited for.
That game
that'll be great.
I mean, that game sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like
the first one was great, but it was pretty technically flawed.
Yeah.
So hopefully this one they can iron out the issues with that. But it's not that massive of a game in terms like to just kind of peg your plan on like a Halo 6 or something. Which again, I think that'll be announced this year, and they need some of those first party titles. Gears of War 5, I don't know when we'll actually see anything on that. 4, we're still on the tail end of 4's release. But they also mentioned Sea of Thieves, Rare's game.
Right.
I've played it a few times. They only showed us bite-sized elements. It's a first-person like MMO, kind of cartoony pirate style
game.
with pirates. Yeah. And I don't see myself playing that for very long. Doesn't seem like a flagship title.
It seems like a really cool idea, but like I feel like all the stuff they act out in demos and trailers, like I'll play online and people are just gonna be jerks.
When is
like,
that
it's
supposed
not
to
gonna
come
be
out?
fun. I think it's kind of soon.
Yeah, because Halo Wars 2 is right around the corner next month.
Yeah, it's like next month.
State of Decay 2, I don't believe they've announced the actual specific date. Sea of Thieves it just says 2017, but I think it's soonish. I don't know. I don't see anything.
They should be saying by now. This late into development, if they're not putting a date on this year.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Weren't there rumors too that like something about Fable, like they might try to bring back Fable or something like that?
Well, like Fable Legends was canceled, but then they were saying like maybe there's some way to revive it in a different form, but I don't think there's been official movement.
And like with even Fable Legends, like I don't think anyone was that bummed that got canceled because it's not what people wanted with a Fable game. So I don't know. Like I think if they relaunch Fable into like an RPG like it was originally made, I think that could be something that people would be interested in. But I don't know.
Yeah. As a Crackdown fan, I would like Crackdown 3 to kind of see the light of day sometime this year. Which it sounds like in their statement they're saying it will, but who knows? Maybe will that be as late as an E3 announcement? And then they'll say, hey, it's releasing this fall. Or would they do something sooner? I hope they would do something sooner. I think it would benefit them.
Yeah.
So they would have some sort of confidence going into the late summer and fall releases.
I'm sure that game would be a good candidate to tie into Scorpio because one of the things about that game, it's actually not related to the console, it's related to their servers, but that game has like real-time destructibility in incredible environments, which if they were able to say, hey, look what this can do, and we're playing it on Scorpio, even though it's being run off the cloud.
Yeah.
I could see that as being the right time for them to sort of be like, and here's this game.
Yeah, I mean, it would benefit them to have like, it's not a brand new console, but it would still be like, having people like games to launch with the Scorpio would
It's a statement.
help a lot.
I mean, consoles are a statement, and Scorpio is a statement. It's just not like a new one. It's a revised one.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, for all intents and purposes, right now, Xbox's future with the Xbox One is sort of cloudy, but hopefully in the coming months or the coming weeks, they actually figure things out or show us that they have figured things out, or I don't know.
Remember when ReCore was supposed to be great?
Yeah. It's a lot of promises and a lot of hope, but I don't know.
What about Quantum Break?
Oh no.
Let's talk about Quantum Break, Peter.
No, we shouldn't. I feel like I've already badmouthed Microsoft enough.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we talked about the Scalebound cancellation with Platinum Games. They have Nier Automata coming up in a couple months' time. So what do you think about the Xbox One's future? Let us know whether you are a Sony fanboy, a PC fanboy, Xbox fanboy. I'm stoking the flames, and we need more comments on this
Sega
one.
fanboy.
Or a Sega fanboy, yeah. Let us know in the comments below what you think about the Xbox One's future. All right. People hate when I do that. Cool, but yeah, that's a good segue into this next segment. If you're just joining, if this is a breakout video on YouTube or anything, we just talked about Scalebound's cancellation. If you're watching this live, I apologize for being redundant, but we just wanted to talk about the most disappointing canceled games ever, or at least in the last, in recent memory. Because between Scalebound, I think another one recently was Star Wars 1313, which, you have Amy Hennig up at EA Visceral, who is working on a Star Wars game, and I think that's kind of rising from the ashes of 1313, from my understanding.
So
kind
dramatic.
of like it's a phoenix from
It's
that.
been a while though, right? 13,
It has, yeah.
was a long time
It was
ago.
like
It's
2
it's
years.
it's coming from 1313 in the sense that like Overwatch came from Titan.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
the
I can see
studio
that.
kind of rebounding, I would say. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad comparison. But 1313 looked great. Maybe just because it looked more like this mature Star Wars. The demo they showed, I believe it's an E3 demo, correct? If it wasn't an E3 demo, it was some big convention stage. And it was a third-person shooter and, based around... they said it was going to be like bounty hunters, right? It wasn't the 1313 specific. I don't know. We need more like Star Wars fans in here. I love Star Wars. We all love Star Wars, but like we need an expert in here.
That's
But
super esoteric.
Don't speak for
knowledge
me.
there.
I don't love Star
you don't
Wars.
like Star Wars. All right. There we go. Stoking more flames. But yeah, it just never ended up coming to fruition. They were promising this gritty Star Wars adventure, which I don't know. Most of the time, Star Wars can be pretty lighthearted in terms of video games, unless you're talking about Dark Forces, which is the best Star Wars game ever made. And I'll argue anybody who disagrees. I don't know. Were you guys excited for Star Wars 1313 when you saw it first announced?
It looked nice,
Yeah.
but we didn't have anything to really hang our hat on.
No.
I mean, I like Star Wars
Third
too.
person, gritty
Cool
storytelling.
Yeah, cliched new video game.
Yeah, looked like a cool idea.
Yeah. What about Battlefront 3? Turns
Now,
another
that
Star
I
Wars.
was really excited for.
Because we have Battlefront now, but that game's boring.
It's not what I wanted. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. Battlefront 3.
I went back to play that recently with DLC, and yeah, that game is boring. I don't like Battlefront that much. It looks great, and as a Star Wars fan, it's fun to be in that universe for a little bit, just the spectacle of the thing and the bombast of these massive like Hoth battles, even though we've been to Hoth 35 times before in video
I've
games.
actually never been to Hoth before.
No.
In video games, okay.
This time of year, it's awful.
Did you play the VR part of the DLC?
No, I did not, but Rob Handlery here says it's pretty awesome.
We should play that. It's out. We've got it.
It's the X-Wing centric one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Rob was saying that's more worth playing than the Scarif DLC, like the Rogue One based DLC for Star Wars Battlefront. I'm putting words in his mouth, but
Rob
I
says a
think
lot
he
of
said
things,
that.
though.
Rob does say a lot of things. He's in back right now,
Yeah.
but we won't.
Cut to the Rob
acknowledge
cam.
him. Yeah, cut to the back cam and see if Rob's pissed off if he can. Sean, there he is. I apologize to those listening on the podcast. That joke probably didn't land, but Rob looked pretty pissed off. But yeah, anyway, moving on from that. Star Wars Battlefront 3. That looked really great. I mean, Battlefront 2 was unreal. Between the space battles, the actual overall conquest mode, Galactic Conquest, that was awesome. Like actually upgrading your army, buying the new perks, buying the new units. That was fantastic.
And just like how you conquer the galaxy. You just move from one point to the other, and then like you'll have a space battle here. Like they could be taking back like, I don't know, another planet or something. I don't know. It was a really cool idea. That was kind of a shame that just got cut.
Yeah, I mean, it essentially seemed like what Battlefront is now, but with the actual structure and mechanics of earlier Battlefront games. Like a really good-looking Battlefront 2 for all intents and purposes, which is what everybody in their right mind wants.
Although I don't think it would have looked as good as EA's Battlefront.
No, I think DICE put way more effort into making Battlefront look good. Maybe because they realized the gameplay didn't have much substance to it. Anyway, the most disappointing one I can think of ever, if not just in recent memory, is Silent Hills.
Yeah.
Not just for Guillermo del Toro's involvement, but for obviously Hideo Kojima's involvement, Norman Reedus's, but also just because PT was great. For those who don't know, PT ended up, was released from, I forget what the number is, but it was a pseudonym for Kojima Studios and Kojima Productions, and then it was a playable teaser that ended up, if you completed it after you had, done enough to get through it, it was this, horror video game based in this one house, you had found out that it was an announcement for Silent Hills.
This actually wasn't in the PT demo.
No, this was not. This is not the PT demo.
This is
right
part
now.
of like a prototype for it, right?
Yeah, this looks almost like, I don't know, Allison Road or something. But
This is from the PT production. Just it was not in the playable teaser.
No,
There's actually
yeah.
a really cool scene at the end here, I think.
yeah, the playable teaser was just essentially you going through this one hallway over and over and over again in a house. There was
my favorite part.
stories of this. Holy shit, I don't remember seeing this.
Yeah, so this guy who's crawling down the hallway right now, people picked apart PT demo and they found the character model for this guy.
Oh, this is the one you're talking about.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's disappointing as hell as a fan of Guillermo del Toro's movies and a fan of most things Kojima has done. This is a huge blow, and obviously this was kind of the crux for the whole, or at least part of the big problem of the whole fallout with Konami and Kojima. And of course now, with PT pulled from PlayStation Store, because Konami said it was never going to be released, so there's no point in having it. We're not really going to ever see something.
People
like
list
that
PlayStation 4 as a PT installed for 4 figures on eBay.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily
Didn't you
sell
say
for
you
that
accidentally
much, but-
deleted it?
Yeah, I did. You've heard this story before, probably. You know how when you press options on an app on the PlayStation menu, the menu comes up and it says there's like close application, delete. I meant to close the application and I deleted it.
But the sinister part of your subconscious was like,
Yeah. Jay, what do you
just
mean?
drove
Don't
you to-
phrase it like that, didn't you? You know very well. You're just trying to push my buttons. He saw he saw this the other
did you
day.
will it to happen?
No. He didn't see it happen. He saw the like PT not installed or like unavailable or something.
right.
He's like, "Oh, what happened?"
Yeah,
and you already
it's
know.
still listed. If you go to your art, your whatever, like the games that you own, it'll still sit there, and it's like, sorry, won't download it for
Yeah.
you.
Mine's still there. Of course, now Mike's gonna sneak into my room and delete it.
Oh my god, it's gonna be great. Isn't there a way? Or wasn't there a way a few months ago that you could just get around and potentially fuck up your PlayStation?
Well, like a year,
get it.
like a year ago, you could essentially like tap into like a spoof server that had the data on there. You had to like go through, I think, a VPN to like whatever get the game.
Sure. Yeah, my PS4.
You would understand.
My PS4 sucks now.
Now it's only worth like $200 instead of $400.
Yeah, here we are talking about how Sony's following through on promises. Sony has nothing to do with this. I'm just being, hard-headed.
Can you believe that they actually released Last Guardian? Can you believe that happened?
Yeah. Not really. I haven't finished that game yet.
Neither have I.
It's a different conversation.
What's wrong with you guys?
What do you mean, what's wrong with me?
No, I said, what the hell is wrong with you?
Okay, give me Silent Hills, and then you finish that, and I'll finish Last Guardian.
What?
I don't know. I'm still pissed. You had to bring up the whole thing about deleting Silent Hit PT.
Can we make
Jerk.
that a section with a new lobby? I just bring up you.
You just push
deleting
my
that?
buttons, and I get pissed
Like,
off and
screw the
can't even
shames.
host the show
See if we can
anymore.
get 'em to
I
leave.
lost my place on this list. All right, Rainbow Six Patriots. Rainbow Six Siege is a very good game. I really like playing that, Jake. I know you do too. Aaron Sampson here at GameSpot plays that a lot as well. Talks about it a lot too. It's a very good shooter, tactical shooter. But when Rainbow Six Patriots was first announced, it was more story-driven. It was, well, as opposed to not really story-driven at all for Siege, but it looked pretty cool. It was more about, domestic defense, I guess. And then, of course, this demo, not to spoil this demo right now, but
What clip are we showing?
I have no idea what this is, actually.
Square to blow out.
Yeah, go to the part with the bridge. There's a part later on where this civilian has bombs strapped to him or her.
This is a great shooter, I can tell.
Yeah.
Kiss wife square.
This just looks like heavy rain. Here we go. This is what I was hoping to see. This civilian has bombs strapped to him, so you end up essentially,
Push body.
pushing
square.
push him off the bridge in
Hit
order
square a
to.
lot.
It looks like it was like weighing the needs of the few versus the many, asking moral questions about this preemptive defense and this kind of special warfare and whatnot. It's pretty grim. And it actually kind of turned heads at the time because of, Rainbow Six has always been this good guys versus bad guys story under Tom Clancy and everything. But this looked like it was actually kind of hoping to tread new ground, but it never came to fruition. Ubisoft changed direction, and Rainbow Six Siege was released. Still a great game, but kind of disappointing because Rainbow Six Patriots looked like it might be doing something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as cool as I love the multiplayer Rainbow Six Siege, I played a lot of it when it came out, but the no campaign in there, like no co-op campaign, especially coming off Vegas 1 and 2, where like co-op campaign, that's like, I spent so much time doing that, and it was kind of a bummer that got cut, and then you look at this, and it seems like they were in the works for something like that.
Yeah. In terms of another game that kind of is in a new form now, it's Prey 2. So Arcane Studios under Raf Colantonio is making Prey, just the remake essentially, and it looks great for all intents and purposes from what we played. Obviously, like Harvey Smith at Arcane headed up development on Dishonored 2, and then Raf Colantonio, the duo who worked on Dishonored 1, Raf Colantonio is now heading up Prey, and it looks great. But Prey 2 back in the day in 2009, development began. It was announced in 2006. Developer 3D Realms was supposed to be working on it. Or publisher 3D Realms was going to publish it, and then developer Human Head Studios did not begin working on it until 2009 after the rights for Prey had transferred from 3D Realms to ZeniMax Media, the parent company Bethesda. But then shit just hit the fan, and Prey 2 never came along. Did you guys play Prey 1, 2006?
No.
I did.
You did? What'd you think of it? It was super weird.
I mean, I remember it came out when there weren't many other first-person shooters on the 360 at that time, or at least not many sci-fi. I think I was like waiting for Halo 3 or something like that, and it was fun. Like, it was cool with what it did, but I don't Like I don't remember a lot of it. I remember it did a lot with like gravity, like you're like running upside down and stuff like that. This I thought looked much cooler because it looked more like a Han Solo type, like bounty hunting and stuff like that. Like it seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, so then the rights kind of quietly transferred to Arcane Studios, but then Bethesda formally canceled the game in 2014. But lo and behold, here we are again, and Arcane is making Prey. And essentially, I'm actually not that disappointed because I think it gives Arcane more leeway to do whatever they want with it within that existing universe and doing weird things. You could transform into like cups.
That's what I've always wanted to do.
It looks awesome.
I want to hit square to kiss my wife, and I want to turn into cups.
Yeah. To just fill yourself with coffee. I don't understand what's going on in this footage right now. It does look super weird. Prey 2 is, just kind of ceased to exist, and now we have Prey. So, again, just like Star Wars 1313 or Titan, canceled, but kind of rising from the ashes again. A phrase Pete's making fun of me for saying all the time.
You're just so dramatic, that's all.
Yeah. Another third-person shooter, StarCraft Ghost. StarCraft Ghost. Third-person shooter following the Terran psychic espionage agent Nova. This reminds me of Command & Conquer Renegade. Were you guys Command & Conquer fans?
Yeah, back in the day, like when it was like Red Alert 2.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite games. Did you ever play Renegade?
No.
They took Command & Conquer and just made it first person.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait, was it first person?
Yeah.
I thought it was, okay.
No, it
Either
was
way.
first. I played it. It wasn't that good. It actually was awful. But it was cool that like a strategy franchise, being a big RTS fan, it was weird to see it go into another genre I love, first person. But that was the case with StarCraft Ghost.
First person's a perspective, not a genre.
First person shooter.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Jake, were you pretty... Do you play a lot of StarCraft? Or did you?
I mean, I played StarCraft. I didn't play a lot of it. I never got to like... I just played the story, basically.
Did you play a lot of Ghost?
I played a lot of Ghost. I actually finished it, and then I
sick.
told them they should probably cancel this game because
Really?
it's not that good. Yeah, so people can hate me.
They brought you in as a consultant?
No, I didn't play any of it, actually, and I don't think anyone played any of it. But that game was delayed a lot, if I remember correctly, and then finally got canned. And I remember that stung quite a bit for a lot of people. People were really excited for that game.
Yeah, because it was based around kind of stealth and telekinesis and psychic powers and whatnot. So it looks like it was kind of doing, a twist on the original or traditional third-person formula, which other games have done. You're looking at like, what is it, Vanquish? Am I thinking of a really good third-person shooter?
And it was a turn for Blizzard as well to do something different, which people always got excited about. And they were really successful for a while doing that.
Yeah,
they still are. What am I talking about?
Overwatch. They do really well when they branch into new fields. But yeah, and then the last one I wanted to touch on, which I don't know whether it will strike a chord with people anymore, but LMNO, I remember, was EA announced it, and it was in conjunction with Steven Spielberg. They just sold it as this story-driven adventure game with an emotional arc. I think, honestly, the only reason people were excited for it was that Steven Spielberg was attached to it. I think it was late 2010 or 2011 that it was shown.
So what was hot for Spielberg around then? What was he coming off? Road to Perdition?
Warhorse in 2011? Did he do Warhorse?
Yeah, he did Warhorse.
Not Road to Perdition. That was a while. That was like 2004, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It's a good movie. Who made that movie where the dinosaurs come back to life?
Guillermo
del Toro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, LMNO, just figured I'd bring it up because it was a big deal and got canceled. But again, I don't know how much of that was just based on the fact that Steven Spielberg was attached to it.
Why are you trying to bury Mega Man Legends 3? I'm not going to let you move on.
Bring up Mega Man Legends 3 if you want. Let's talk about it.
Mega Man Legends 3 was a really poor cancellation because for years people wanted this game. Keiji Inafune was like, I know, I want to do it too. He was still at Capcom. He was like, all right, Capcom wants to make it happen. Outside of Keiji Inafune, Capcom was like, hey fans, we want to hear what you want this game to be. So we're going to put out a poll. Not enough people voted in the poll. And so when the game was canceled, they said not enough people spoke up, so we thought no one cared.
That's awesome.
Thank you. That's a great story, I think, because
it is really funny.
Whoa.
That's the most direct way to get user feedback. Let us know what you think if you want this game to happen.
Did they say how many responses they needed? Like, what if they just
they needed 350 and they didn't even get it?
I mean, I think maybe the truth has actually come out to be slightly different than that, but that was the messaging from the spokesperson at the time. Is that you guys didn't speak? You guys,
where were you? Did you vote?
You didn't make enough email accounts to vote as many times as possible.
This is what happened with
GameSpot.
Trump.
I was working in a kitchen.
You were working in a kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, this is this is wild. When was this?
Oh, whoa.
When was this?
2010, maybe 2011 was when it was canceled, but 2010 was when they were like, all right, this is a thing. And before the 3DS came out, they're like, oh, we're going to put out a demo soon so you guys can play the game. I mean, that never even happened.
That would have been a good cautionary tale for Hillary Clinton to use in her campaign. This is what happens when you don't vote.
Yeah, Keiji Inafune should have been her advisor.
Did you like Mega Man Legends and 1 and 2?
No.
Why is this disappointing to you then?
Not disappointing to me, disappointing to a lot of people.
Oh, come on.
I like that those games exist, but I didn't like
I like that
playing them.
volcanoes exist, but I'm not going to go play one.
Volcanoes don't get canceled either.
It's a good point. They're always ready to go. Mega Man Legends 3 is just waiting to erupt at some point. We'll see it again. Mark my words. Microsoft is going to blow us all out of the water with the launch bundle for the Scorpio with Mega Man Legends 3.
This is kind of out of left field, but do you remember that? I think it was called like something Las Vegas, and you just like walked around Las Vegas. Jean-Luc actually brought it up like about a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I forgot about this game, and it was just like you walk around Las Vegas and you gamble, and it got canceled. I don't remember what it was called. I don't remember what it was like.
We were gonna end on a high note, Jake.
Yeah. Wait, Jean-Luc. Before we go, what is this game called? Jean-Luc's in the back right now.
Vegas, baby. I think that was
He
the
knows
name.
what he must know what it's called.
Was it
What?
Jean-Luc's game?
This is
Vegas. It's the most literal thing ever. That's just like someone driving through the desert.
That's like
what
what the
city
game
is
looked
this?
like.
Oh, this is Vegas.
That's the game.
That's the game.
What do people do here? You're doing it.
$60 to come across this random city in the middle of a desert. Sick. Put 12 on black, and then I'll see you at the bar later. Gambling joke. You guys never. I don't gamble. I don't like Vegas. I've never been to Vegas, but I don't like it. I wouldn't want to play a game.
Yet you stand up.
Oh,
for
here's the
volcanoes
website.
all the time.
This is Vegas. Sweet. Thanks to Jean-Luc for bringing up that hidden gem.
Try clearing
All
your
right.
cookies.
This has gone on long enough. It's depressing for a number of reasons, namely so because Scalebound's canceled for people who are looking forward to that. And like Platinum Games like myself, it is disappointed. So let's hope no other games get canceled. Let's hope Crackdown 3 releases. Let's hope State of Decay 2 comes to fruition. In the meantime, let us know what your most disappointing canceled game is or was, regardless of how long ago it was. Please don't talk to me about Mega Man Legends 3. I've heard enough about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Jesus.
We didn't even talk about Fez, a game that was canceled over a Twitter argument.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole
Fez 2.
can of worms. A game that we hope does not get delayed again, Mass Effect Andromeda. What's going on with this game?
Scary.
Yeah.
Woo!
What do you guys think? Jake, you didn't seem optimistic today. Oh, sorry. Really quick. Just primer.
Yeah.
Aaron Flynn, studio manager at BioWare Edmonton, said March 21st release date, 2016 of this year, Mass Effect Andromeda is coming. And that is the release date as of now. But we are wondering what is going to happen with that because all throughout the development process of this game, there's been studio departures. There has been, like rumors about development crunch getting to people, much like it sounds like was the case with Scalebound or any game nowadays, it seems like.
Mega Man Legends 3.
And now we're kind of wondering what is going on with Mass Effect Andromeda. Is it being rushed? I think a lot of footage we've seen has not really comforted us.
A lot of footage?
Sorry.
Some of the little footage.
Some
we've
of the
seen.
little footage
Yeah.
we've seen, the fact that there is only a little footage, the fact that we have barely seen gameplay is worrying. And it's like 2 months away. What's going on with this? Jake, are you pretty worried?
I'm kind of worried. They've had a lot of time to work on this game. They've been working on it for 5 years now. At least that's what they said recently.
Liars.
So is this game being rushed? Maybe not. Maybe they could hit March. I don't think they will though, because what you were saying, how a lot of people have left. A lot of people are dealing with stress and crunch time. I think this game has changed a lot over the last couple years, and now they've kind of arrived on their idea, and they're like, all right, we need to get this done. So I think it's gonna get delayed.
You think it's gonna get delayed?
I think it's gonna get delayed. I hope it doesn't. I don't want to be that one. Everyone if it gets delayed, everyone's like, oh, you're the one. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. But I think it's gonna be delayed. And like you were saying too, we haven't seen much gameplay. We have finally seen gameplay, and what we've seen looks pretty
Mediocre.
good.
No, come on. Mediocre. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what they haven't shown, Jake? They haven't shown any of the dialogue stuff.
They showed a little bit of it,
did?
and it wasn't that good.
Right. Okay.
It was.
What's another word for not that good?
It was
Mediocre.
It was a huge improvement over Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect 2. But I've played The Witcher a lot, and looking at the dialogue that you go through in The Witcher, which even then it's still kind of it's still kind of cheesy at times and kind of technical. There's little technical issues, but then with this it looked worse than that, and it's just kind of I don't.
Well, it was like
I don't know.
At E3 when they showed off some stuff, people were criticizing the quality of the animations, and they were like, "Oh, well, they're not done yet." And it's like, but wait a minute, this is your time to finally show the game, and you're
Exactly.
showing something that's not done.
Yeah.
What the hell? If you extrapolate that to the bigger picture, what does that mean? That means everything is probably problematic. Like, I think if it gets delayed, that's a good thing. Like,
I do too.
Screw rushing out a game. If you've got a great idea, take the
Well,
time to finish it.
That's what we're hoping, but
Yeah.
the whole cause for concern the last year or so, especially when we interviewed Aaron Flynn, either the day of or the day before they showed that footage at E3 this year, they're saying there are rumors circulating that they had to strip a lot of features because they were trying to do too much initially, and then EA gave them this hard deadline. So who knows how long BioWare has known it was March 21st. I wonder if EA told them that like last year or something amid all these rumors of departures and whatnot. I'm sure they did. But Aaron Flynn said, "Oh, I didn't hear about those rumors and whatnot." It's very misdirection. But
I'm going to level with you, Mike. You're right. This game is in horrible trouble.
Why else would their major people leave? What is going on with this? Maybe, they always say, no, the game's in good shape. Everybody who left, of course, they had that statement saying this game is in great shape. Why show us this person scanning a room?
This is...
they're bringing the makeup.
who cares? It's a car.
I don't mean to shit on this game.
No,
I'm really looking for it. I
don't
hope
want
it's
to.
good.
Right, that's just it. You hope it's good. You're looking forward to the chance that it's good. But like, I think in the past Mass Effect games, you could watch some of the stuff they were showing and say, "This game looks great." With this, all you can say is, "I hope this is great."
So yeah, I mean, and I think that's what it comes down to. Like this, like not the multiplayer, the gameplay. I think the combat looks pretty good.
It's like a watered down Vanquish, though.
Does it? I mean, it looks like an improved.
Okay.
Relatively
Mass Effect 3.
compared to Mass Effect 3.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's going to be incredible, but that's never the point. I mean, I feel like I shouldn't even say it's not the point because it is to have a good game, but like the gameplay wasn't what made the game great,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like what you were just saying, like seeing Mass Effect 3, seeing Mass Effect 2, seeing Mass Effect 1, I was blown away. And then I see this and I was hoping to get that same feeling. And I was like, all right, well, I'll probably play it and I hope I like it.
I hope it's good, right? Like, I'm not trying to be a curmudgeon here. It's just like really telling this late in the game to see just this amount.
Yeah, no one's played it yet either.
Right. I mean, like, look, there was a similar problem with Doom where we didn't see a lot of that game aside from multiplayer up until launch. And then it was like, day of release date review copies, everyone was nervous, and holy shit, that game ended up being amazing. That might be the case here. It totally could be. But like in the meantime, what do we have to really go on other than our hopes?
I mean, even what they showed at E3, it wasn't just that it looked bad. There was no reason to even show it. It was just a teaser still.
Yeah.
And that was, 6 months ago? 7 months ago? I feel like they should be more on target by this point because, they said their objective with it is to make a more explorable, kind of more open, seamless world.
Which is what I think what a lot of people want to see. Like how does the Tempest get from area to area? Like, because they confirmed you won't actually be flying the ship, but if it's supposed to be seamless, then like, how is it seamless? You just like walk in your ship and walk around while it flies there for you? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily always want to just hope a video game gets delayed, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it happened.
I think you should hope a video game gets delayed. If that means
if you want the game to be good when you finally buy it and play it, then hopefully it gets delayed, unless it's because the team took a break and came back and people said it wasn't worth pursuing, like Scalebound or whatever supposedly happened.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not like Dragon Age Inquisition in space, because I know a lot of people like that game, but that game is
boring.
No, a lot of people don't like that game.
Good because
Yeah,
I was not a fan of that game, and like almost looking at some of those wide areas, like I kind of got that Dragon Age Inquisition vibe, and I'm like, no, please don't do this. Please don't do this.
Yeah, I don't know. So you think it's going to get delayed, Jake?
I think it's going to get delayed. I hope it gets delayed, but I'm still very optimistic about it. Despite what I said, I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be fantastic. I don't think it's going to be like the next Witcher 3 for me, but I think I'm going to enjoy it quite a bit.
I would be much less worried if the past year and a half, 2 years wasn't just news about the studio, huge people departing the studio and leaving, and like clearly the studio was stressed out in the, trying to figure out what to do with this franchise. It's not going to be really connected to the first trilogy too much, aside from the name, and your characters are new and everything. It's a new galaxy, so it's not really connected at all. But I'm worried that maybe the weight of the project, their grasp exceeded their reach, or the other way around. Grasp exceeded their reach.
Why not both?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe their reach and their grasp are too short. Anyway, Let us know what you think about Mass Effect Andromeda. Are you excited for it? Do you think it'll be good? Based on the gameplay we've seen so far, are you worried about it? Do you think that BioWare will pull through and release a fantastic game? Let us know in the comments below. All right, last segment. Predictions for 2017. We've already touched on a bunch of these. Between new games coming out this year and delays, cancellations, hardware between the Switch and the Scorpio, potentially a new Nintendo Classic console re-release. We want to get into what we think is going to happen this year. We have another companion article publishing later today. Basically, different editors' takes on what they think will happen this year, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what we can foresee in the future in 2017. I'll start, though. I think in terms of software, we see Halo 6. They're going to announce that. Microsoft needs to, I think. Eddie McCoo, our news editor, said he predicts that there will be split screen this time around. Halo 5 Guardians did not have it, much to the ire of longtime Halo fans like myself who, love playing 4-player split screen of those games. Eddie McCoo thinks they'll have it this time.
Do you think it'll come out in fall too?
Yeah. I think it'll release in October.
Yeah.
October 23rd. And then Destiny 2, I think, will be shown this year, but I don't think we're not going to see it. It might be a teaser, it might be a trailer, probably E3. I wouldn't be surprised to see Destiny 2. You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah.
I think so. I think the Destiny train's finally, whatever steam it had to begin with, it's finally just running out of it. The expansions, Taken King, Rise of Iron, I was not impressed with. Taken King revamped the game enough and it added some interesting end game elements, but I don't know, between those and the Dark Below, I was not overall that impressed with the long run of this game the more I played it. But there are a lot of fans of it, and I know people still play it. Eric Tay still plays every once in a while. I don't know if he has recently. But I think Destiny 2 would be the shot in the arm that Bungie needs right now. And a lot of Destiny fans need,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And bring it to PC.
Yeah.
Do it.
That would be pretty sweet.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I like it. Do you like Destiny? Do you care too much for Destiny?
I want to like Destiny. I
Yeah.
really like Phantasy Star Online back in the day, and Destiny always kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously it's first person, but yeah, I just I couldn't get into it.
Yeah. If you're watching our live show, we just said a few of us think Mass Effect Andromeda might get delayed again. Jake, that's one of your predictions, though, for those just joining us on YouTube. Why do you think Mass Effect Andromeda is going to get delayed? Just because everything we just talked about
again.
a year of people leaving the studio, coming back to it, leaving.
Did I put that down?
Yeah.
I did put that down on the doc that I think Mass Effect's going to get delayed?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just
I
said
think
you
it's-
did.
Well, yeah, I know I just said it, but like for the running order.
I wouldn't be crazy surprised if it did. March 21st is close, though. That's 2 months away. Let's hope they don't pull the rug out under their feet.
Well, here's the other thing. I believe I heard someone talking about this on a podcast. But could you have pre-ordered the game beforehand? I feel like pre-orders for that just opened like right now.
For Mass Andromeda?
Yeah, now that they've finally announced the release date.
Oh, I don't know.
Like,
They probably did.
They should probably have opened up or released the date a lot longer than 3 months before the game came out.
Yeah, I mean, that was because I think it was like a BioWare blog thing. Aaron Flynn tweeted it saying, "Hey, here's a release date for you wondering."
Oh, by the way,
I guess you can pre-order it.
now you can. So
Super Deluxe Edition.
Does it come with the Mako thing?
I think so, yeah. Man, so Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect 3, I like Mass Effect 3 a lot, whatever people say. Mass Effect Andromeda kind of has an uncertain future right now. Let's hope it's fantastic. We'll be hopeful for that. Anyway, Pete, what about a Super Nintendo Classic?
yes, it would make sense. They should do it.
They re-upped like the patent for the controller or something?
Yes, that's the deal. Some people are speculating that might have something to do with the Super Nintendo. Other people are speculating in smaller circles that there's a company called 8-Bit Do or 8-Bit Do. They do a lot of really great retro themes or related products. One of them being a wireless Bluetooth controller that looks exactly like the Super Nintendo controller and is actually really good. But anyway, I think it's more likely we're going to see the Super Nintendo Classic.
The NES Classic, awesome.
Sick.
Yeah.
I like the NES Classic just had that like trouble with having enough units for everybody.
Yeah, they still have that trouble.
They still do?
They still do.
It's ongoing?
Yeah.
So I probably couldn't get one if I wanted to.
Who do you think you are?
No, I'm not Peter Brown, NES expert. You just have them stashed away in your house and
Who
you
does
sell
this guy
them.
think he is?
I don't know.
I don't think that's me.
I'm gonna hoard SNES Super Nintendo classics, and I'm gonna not let you have a.
That's your
single
long-term investment plan.
GD one of them. Yeah. That'd be awesome. I would love to play Super Metroid, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I would love to play all those games again.
What I would prefer, and I'll make this my prediction, is that
Link to the Past.
Nintendo actually takes the Virtual Console seriously again, and is able to unify their accounts online so people don't have to buy games like the ones you just mentioned a third time. If they pick up a Switch, they can just use their account and download it and play it. That would be rad.
Cool.
So I don't even think they need a
so.
Super Nintendo Classic. But again, there's people who won't buy the Switch, right? So, or they won't buy the Wii U, so they can't use Virtual Console, and it's perfect for them.
Do you see much happening with virtual reality this year in terms of, do you think it'll keep going with its momentum? I mean, sales weren't great last year, but I think last year, more and more titles came out that showed developers are taking it seriously, and maybe we should too.
Developers are taking it seriously. And I think consumers are to a degree, but I think it's more out of curiosity and the fact that it's affordable and it does something worth being excited about. But in terms of it really taking off, maybe I'm just not doing my job right, but I can't think of a single VR game on the horizon that I'm excited about.
Resident Evil 7 is the first one that comes to mind, but that's like a couple weeks away. But you can also play it on.
And I'm not excited about that. Like that's cool for people who own a PlayStation VR, and I'm excited about the game itself. But the VR portion of that is not like a good sign that VR is here and doing something special. It's VR is a means to experience traditional media. Okay, fine, we've done that. Move beyond that. Show us what virtual reality really can do. And I think that there's a lot of places that are still spinning their wheels trying to rev that stuff up and get it ready, or even just experimenting with what works and what doesn't.
Sure.
So I think we'll see a lot of hardware incremental improvements. I think we'll see some cost go down. It's already gone down on the PC front. Like you can get much more affordable hardware to play VR games on, including PlayStation. So I think we'll see more of that before we see more, big games that really do say VR is amazing. It's here. This is why.
Yeah. In terms of other predictions, any others? I think Crackdown 3 will release with or around the Scorpio.
Sounds about right.
So they would have to announce that like any day now, I feel like. Scorpio is what? Close-ish?
Did they even say?
No.
Didn't they say like 2017?
Just the year itself? Yeah.
So
So could be fall.
yeah,
If it was
feeling
fall,
we'll see more
Crackdown
of it
3,
at
I would
E3.
definitely say I would hope Crackdown 3 is definitely going to be a release day for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any other predictions? Crystal balls?
I have
for
one.
2017? Yeah.
I think we're gonna see Cyberpunk 2077 for the first time since when was that trailer? I think 2013.
The Witcher 3 fan.
And at the end of the trailer, they said it's ready when it's ready, or it'll be ready when it's ready. And I think they're just about ready to start showing things off.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see a lot. I don't think we'll see gameplay. Maybe we'll see gameplay, but I think we'll definitely get another trailer at E3 or something like that.
CD Projekt Red. Do you think they'll just keep going like a massive open world like The Witcher 3 with this? Because I don't know much about the Cyberpunk property. I mean, I know generally like what they're going for.
I mean, we don't really know anything. Like we've heard like they hired like vehicle people to work on like vehicle. I don't know what that's called. Vehicle developers? No. What's that? But people
We hired a guy who can make
digital
cars.
audio engineers. Guy comes in with a wrench.
So I mean, it sounds like it's going to be another big open world RPG, but I have a feeling it'll be more like third person like shooter combat rather. But we don't know anything about that, and I think they're going to be showing something off. They were working on it when I was there.
Yeah.
They didn't show me anything.
You did.
I just
like in Warsaw, right?
Yeah, I just like walk through the offices and they're like, here everyone's hard at work on Cyberpunk. Don't ask about Cyberpunk. So like,
Just ask about Gwent.
Yeah.
Gwent's good. It's not Cyberpunk though. Yeah.
But yeah, now's the time, and also you're gonna get a hot thumbnail for this breakout too, because don't use that thumbnail, but.
Well, I mean, now that all the expansions are out for Witcher 3 now, and like with
yeah, I mean they're
Blood and Wine, they
are done with like because they were like people were asking if they were gonna like upgrade The Witcher 3 for PlayStation 4 Pro, and they said no, we're not working on The Witcher 3 anymore because we want to focus all on Cyberpunk. And Gwent is a very small team. I think they said there was like 12 people or something like that, and they've been beefing up their team quite a bit. So. It's got to be soon.
Cyberpunk will be the first game that's not a Witcher game
from them.
For them, yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I have all the faith in the world in CD Projekt Red, especially if they're kind of sticking to that, like you just said, open world structure that they did so well with these, emergent storylines and kind of player-driven choice that The Witcher 3 was great for. So yeah, here's hoping that Cyberpunk 27 does happen. Any other predictions?
I think if it comes out this year, within the year, still after the fact, Metal Gear Survive will be a free game on PlayStation Plus.
Is it not already a free game? Would you pay for it if it
I
wasn't?
completely forgot about that game until right now.
Yeah, thanks,
Peter.
You guys are welcome.
There you go. So if you forgot about Metal Gear Survive, there's your reminder. Follow Peter Brown on Twitter if you want a daily reminder. He's going to keep telling everybody about Metal Gear Survive from now on. But yeah, anyway, let us know what you think about 2017, what you think's going to happen, any games you think are going to get delayed, canceled, moved around, shuffled into the mix, shuffled back out of the mix. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And that's our show today. There's, again, our first episode of the season. We are kind of making changes next week. Again, we're not going to be airing on Tuesday next week. We're going to be airing on Wednesday at 11 a.m. For those of you who join us regularly on Twitch or YouTube or GameSpot's live streaming service, you will see us Wednesday. Again, we want to get the audience more involved. We want you to send in input for the show, send in questions about the games now that you get the chance to play them before you watch the lobby on Tuesdays. Send in concerns about Mega Man Legends 3.
Send in fan art.
Send in fan art
of Mike.
Send in fan art of Peter Brown, and we will
Mike
show
Mahardy,
it on the
and
show.
we will show it on the show.
Yes. All right, sure. And any ideas you have for segments, if you want us to talk about more about certain games, more about, like just certain trends, we will kind of discuss them. And again, we want your input. Let us know what you think about the new studio change that we do next week. We want to involve the audience because we really appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us every week. And here's hoping that goes according to plan. Thank you to Jean-Luc, Rob Handlery in the back. Mary Kish is back there somewhere too, I think. Let's give them a wave. Can you guys get thrown up on screen quick? Yeah, you could do it. There you go. Jean-Luc, Rob Handlery. Rob is busy texting. He has no idea what he's doing. And there is a Gravity Rush 2 stream going on today. Pete, is that you and Mary?
Yeah, me and Murray.
All right. Mary Kish, Peter Brown are going to be streaming Gravity Rush 2 here on GameSpot.com, on Twitch, on YouTube. Go join them. Check it out. Peter gave it a 9 out of 10. Sounds like a great game. I'm going to go play it. And thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you next week in our new studio at our new time, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Later. Mary said it to you, but